So Bria Hartley is driving in. Sophie Cunningham, or Kelsey Mitchell comes down. Sophie Cunningham overhelps. And Bria Hartley just kind of plows through her leg by the looks of things. She kind of plows through the knee. And Sophie's holding like her patella.
Sophie Cunningham. Oh, man. I got to tell you. This victory, it came with a big price. Bria Hartley, let me just start there because we've got Sophie Cunningham's sister and mother weighing in on the league. And Bria Hartley right here. This is Hartley right here coming in.
To slide over right there, and Hartley just kind of falls
and she crushes in on the knee of Sophie right here.
She went down hard.
And that was it.
Let's be honest. Federal investigations would be conducted if anyone else were dealing with the overwhelming number of incidental injuries that have dominated this squad. What is causing the WNBA to act as though they have a personal grudge against the league's top player? Stay tuned because this conspiracy has the potential to ruin the biggest thing in women's basketball before it even reaches its zenith.
As an Indiana Fever fan, this absolutely sucks. I mean, first we lose CC. We don't know when she's coming back, if she's coming back. And now this happens to Sophie Cunningham. Are we just cursed?
This is the play that just occurred.
That's like she tries to slide over right there, and Hartley just kind of falls and makes collision with that lower leg. You see her immediately grab it.
Caitlin Clark has missed 12 games in a row due to a groin issue that, for some reason, gets worse every time she tries to play again. Due to a broken bone in her right foot, Aari McDonald will miss the entire season. Due to an ACL tear, Sydney Coulson will miss the season.
It looked bad. She's going to be done for the year. I don't know how much longer the Indiana Fever can continue to survive with these injuries. I just have to be honest. I got to be real. We lost Sydney Coulson to a torn ACL. Aari McDonald, broken bone in her foot. Caitlin Clark has played like 12 games all year or something like that. DeWanna Bonner scammed us. I mean, it's been a complete shit show, to say the least. It's been a shit show. I just got to be honest.
Folks, that's 4 important members of one team.
4.
What do typical teams lose during a season? If they are unfortunate, they might hurt one starting. However, the Indiana Fever are dropping participants as if it were a perverted version of Survivor. The WNBA is also taking it easy and pretending that this is a normal aspect of the game.
I mean, immediately in the game, the refs was just on some ish, bro. Just on something, and y'all know what I always say, man. What if Sophie or somebody was your aunt, your niece, your daughter? You know, you got to put yourself in reality, you know, because she is somebody's daughter, she is somebody's sister, and this is just unfortunate. And those of you who don't think a civil rights investigation need to be brought upon this league is tripping. This civil rights investigation,
the referees were simply on some is right from the start of the game, dude. Only on something. And you guys are aware of what I always say, dude. What if Sophie or someone else was your daughter, niece, or aunt? She is someone's daughter, so you have to place yourself in the real world. She is the sister of someone. And this is simply regrettable. And those of you who don't believe that this league ought to be the subject of a civil rights investigation are insane. The league responded to this civil rights probe by signing Odyssey Sims to a hardship contract because they just do not have enough healthy guards to form a squad. Take a moment to consider that. In order to get 5 players on the court, the most popular women's basketball team in history has been forced to sign last-minute replacements. This is not unlucky. This is the WNBA's golden goose being systematically destroyed.
Sophie Cunningham lying down, clearly in pain, visible pain, agony, pain, stays down. Gotta cut to commercial. The medical staff comes around her. She looks like she walked off on her own accord, but it looked like she walked off in pain on her own accord. Out for the rest of the game. Only played 10 minutes. And that's where Lexi Holt needed to step up, and step up she did. Step up she did.
Horrible. That is the word that best captures what we are seeing. This season, Sophie Cunningham has already received 4 fines for pointing out referee ineptitude. And because those same referees wouldn't shield her from risky plays, she's currently lying on a trainer's table. If it weren't so frustrating, the irony would be hilarious. Paula Cunningham, Sophie's mother, even made fun of Hartley before reportedly removing her remarks. Instead of imposing further sanctions, perhaps the league should take notice when a player's family calls out particular opponents for what they believe to be willfully risky behavior.
Sophie's sister Lindsay and her mom Paula. At WNBA, maybe you should focus less on fining players for commenting on your poor officiating and more about hiring officials that are able to call a consistent game, protect your athletes. Pathetic. Praying for you, Sophie Cunningham. Yeah, officially, my two favorite players in this league that I really love to, particularly love to pull for, they're both out now. And it did not look good. No word on that, by the way.
This season, Caitlin Clark has missed 19 of Indiana's 32 games. 19. The athlete who brought the WNBA billions of dollars in revenue and millions of new fans has been on the bench more often than on the court. We are also expected to assume that this is merely a coincidence. Clark's history of injuries is as detailed as a medical textbook. She had been out for more than a month due to a right groin injury after suffering a left quad strain for 3 weeks and a left groin ailment for 2 weeks. These aren't just arbitrary muscular strains brought on by inadequate training. These are the outcome of the ongoing physical abuse she has received from opponents who appear to have made pursuing her their main strategy. Lisa Blooder, the former coach of Iowa, spoke candidly about the physicality Clark encounters. A large portion of the scouting report is meant to be physical in order to stop you. But what we're witnessing against Clark and her teammates is not the same as competitive physicality. It's not coach speak when Stephanie White claims that the level of physicality has changed from what it has been for a while. That serves as a caution that the league is permitting a risky precedent.
Oh, Cunningham is down. My goodness.
You can literally hear her screaming in pain. It's so heartbreaking. Indiana Fever star guard Sophie Cunningham, the enforcer, had a lower leg injury today against the Connecticut Suns.
Game footage and injury reports don't provide the most convincing proof of the WNBA's agenda. The league has responded to criticism in this way. Players like Sophie Cunningham are penalized $500, $1,500, and more when they point out issues with the refereeing. The league sanctions coaches like Stephanie White for raising concerns about the absence of player protection. However, referees create an environment so unsafe that elite players are dropping like flies, permit egregious fouls to go uncalled, and allow players to be brutalized with no repercussions. Silence on the radio. USA Today's Christine Brennan summed it up perfectly following one very egregious non-all. The WNBA was unable to meet the challenge. More people than ever are watching. This is what they observe. The league is receiving unparalleled mainstream coverage, record viewership, and interest. They react by allowing the referees to make games into demolition derbies. According to Monty McCutcheon, the WNBA's head of officiating, they do a great job of holding referees accountable. However, when Clark is pushed to the ground and the officials declare it a common foul, where's the accountability? When Cunningham is knocked out by a clumsy fall that appears to be anything but accidental, where's the accountability?
And they got a damn lawsuit. It is Sophie as well. It's Sophie as well. Just the amount of calls, the way she's been treated. Watch this. I mean, just immediately first. Look at this. Instantly into the game. Instantly. Immediately. Sophie got hammered. They had a target to hurt Sophie. She was targeted by this team for a reason. They wanted to hurt Sophie. They made it their business to hurt Sophie.
The WNBA doesn't want you to know this. As these injuries mount, the Indiana Fever's prospects of making the playoffs have decreased from 99.2% to 87.1%. In the rankings, they are now in 7th place instead of 6th. Additionally, They are only 1-1.5 games behind teams like the Los Angeles Sparks and Seattle Storm, who are breathing down their necks. Is it a coincidence? Perhaps precisely what the WNBA had always desired. Consider it from the league's point of view. In addition to drawing a lot of attention to women's basketball, Clark and the Fever also highlighted how subpar the rest of the product was. Casual viewers watching Clark were treated to landslides and impressive performances that, in contrast, made other teams appear inexperienced. Leveling the playing field was necessary for the league. There's no better strategy than to eliminate the competitive advantages of the Fever in a methodical manner. Indiana still has an 87.1% chance of qualifying for the playoffs according to ESPN's WNBA basketball power rating, but that percentage decreases each time Clark is benched. The Fever are in a last-ditch effort to recover and guarantee their postseason spot with 10 games remaining in the regular season before this injury plague costs them everything they have worked so hard to achieve.
I told y'all Bria Hartley is a dirty player. She's no different than Dejanay Carrington. It just doesn't get as much publicity because the Connecticut Sun stink. Point blank, period. She's reckless. She injured Sophie Cunningham, and it is a travesty. Stephanie White, you better go and you need to be buying Kelsey Mitchell food all week. You need to send her a personal masseuse because she saved your job tonight. Your ass should have been fired if y'all had lost today. Point blank and period. You was horrible. Bro, before you could sneeze, achoo, we was down by 10 plus points in the first quarter.
Let's examine the timeline and try to identify any patterns. Clark misses weeks of play due to a left quad strain she sustains early in the season. Despite their problems, the team is able to maintain their competitiveness. Clark makes a comeback in the middle of the season, begins to play at a high level, and then sustains a left groin injury. The Fever adjusted, but more time was lost. In July, Clark makes a comeback and plays her greatest game of the year against the reigning champion New York Liberty, scoring 32 points, but she instantly injures her groin again against Connecticut. Since August, she has not performed. The Fever start losing games against weaker opponents while Clark is still absent. Then, in the same game versus Phoenix, Coulson and McDonald get injuries that end their seasons. Cunningham has now been added to the list of casualties. 4 distinct injury incidences involving 4 important players all occurred with the squad that was meant to rule the league and propel the WNBA to unprecedented levels of success and revenue. When do we stop referring to this as poor luck and begin referring to it as what it is? Methodical pursuit of the most valuable franchise in the WNBA.
There's only 13 teams in the WNBA. 8 of them go to the playoffs. Not 6, not 4, 8. Over 50% of them go to the playoffs. So when you are supposed to win games that you're supposed to win, you're supposed to just take care of business. I don't care if they lost Caitlin Clark. They still have Kelsey Mitchell. They have Aaliyah Boston. Sophie Cunningham, hope she feels better. Lexi Hall. They have talent on this team. They have enough talent. Howard.
There was more to Lindsey Cunningham's social media message than merely a family member expressing annoyance. It was a clear critique of all the issues with the WNBA's agenda. The league is searching for players who are willing to speak out against the status quo rather than employing referees who can call a game consistently and safeguard your athletes. This season, Sophie Cunningham has received fines on several occasions for criticizing officiating, notably for a TikTok video in which she referred to the refs as worthless after witnessing them permit dangerous play after dangerous play.
Here's the worst part, though.
Support from her fans has increased each time she has received a fine. Within hours, her fines were reimbursed by GoFundMe efforts. Overnight, petitions calling for referee accountability gathered thousands of signatures. WNBA's reaction to mounting criticism, additional penalties, and efforts to stifle the truth. Lindsey Cunningham is referring to more than just a single play or game when she deems the league's priorities pitiful. She is referring to a systemic inability to safeguard the players who are enabling women's professional basketball to achieve unparalleled success. She is referring to a league that would rather identify players who speak the truth than address the issues those players are bringing to light.
And we have no idea when Caitlin Clark is coming back or if she is coming back at all. Every time that they get asked, they just say TBD. We have no idea what's going on, which is, in my opinion, quite suspicious. You kind of know what is going to happen with an injury. The doctors can give you an estimate. The player can tell you, you know, I'm not really feeling that great. I don't expect to be coming back, but she has been practicing with the team. Maybe she's going to come back for the playoffs and help them get that championship, or at least try to get the championship.
There is more to the Sophie Cunningham injury than merely another player suffering harm. This is the most recent proof that the WNBA has lost any authority over its product. Candace Parker is referring to typical competitive basketball when she states that you will encounter the physicality as a generational talent. There is much more going on with the Indiana Fever than just typical physicality. This concerns a league that views its top players as challenges to the status quo rather than as resources that need to be safeguarded. It concerns officials who have been implicitly authorized to allow some teams to be humiliated while shielding others. It concerns a front office that prioritizes control over expansion and looks more important than content. Here's what the WNBA didn't anticipate, though. The supporters no longer believe it. Hashtags endorsing Sophie Cunningham and calling for referee accountability have taken over social media. Video proof of bad plays and missed calls gets out there more quickly than the league can keep up with the story. Players and former coaches are speaking out against the blatant bias in officiating. The league believed that by imposing fines and penalties, they might quell criticism, but instead they have strengthened the voices of those demanding reform. When a player receives $1,500 for pointing out a referee's ineptitude, and that same referee's ineptitude results in her injury, you've essentially validated her case more effectively than any debate could.
Sophie's mother, Paula Hartley, is a disgruntled player having trouble everywhere she goes. She's playing mean and plays out of control. So, what can you say? I do not blame Sophie's mother and sister for being upset. Marina Mabrey went nuts in this game, scored 27.
The Indiana Fever had hopes of winning a championship going into the season. With veterans who understand how to win, they created what they dubbed a win now team. Even Caitlin Clark's harshest critic, Cheryl Swoops, believed the Fever will win the 2025 WNBA title. They were seen as strong competitors by Vegas oddsmakers to field a competitive roster, trailing only the New York Liberty and Las Vegas Aces. The league's decision to gradually remove their key players from competition is the reason their championship window is quickly closing, not because they weren't good enough.